It's 2 a.m. You're lying in bed scrolling through your phone for the third time tonight. You check her Instagram, posted 6 hours ago. You check her last seen on WhatsApp, active 12 minutes ago. Your brain is doing mental gymnastics. If she's awake, why isn't she texting me? Is she thinking about me right now? Or has she completely moved on? Here's what you don't know about this exact moment. While you're torturing yourself with questions, something is happening inside her mind that most men never understand. A psychological process between what she allows herself to feel and what her ego will let her admit. And these two forces, they don't always point in the same direction. This video reveals what's actually happening behind the silence you can't see. I'm going to break down the 3 stages of what psychologists call ego collapse, show you the behavioral patterns that might be occurring even when she seems completely indifferent, and teach you the exact timeline of when this internal process typically reaches critical mass. Because the worst part isn't the silence, it's not knowing what the silence actually means. And once you understand what could be happening behind it, everything changes. Now, before we go deeper, this video isn't about manipulation tactics or playing mind games to get someone back. It's not about revenge or making her suffer. This is about understanding female psychology so you can stop torturing yourself with unanswered questions and start making clear, informed decisions from a position of strength. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. When a woman's ego is protecting her from vulnerability, you're not just dealing with whether she misses you or not. You're dealing with an internal psychological conflict she might not even be fully aware of. And that conflict? It has predictable patterns. So let's go deeper. Because what you're about to learn changes everything about how you interpret her silence. Here's the problem most men face in this situation. They're stuck in limbo, obsessively analyzing every microsignal while their mental health deteriorates. You check her stories within seconds of her posting them. You notice she watched yours at 3 a.m. but didn't reply to your last message 3 days ago. You're creating elaborate theories about what each action means, what each silence represents. But here's what most men don't understand. While you're doing this detective work, you're actually reinforcing the very dynamic that keeps her ego intact. Every view, every like, every time you accidentally show up where she might be, you're sending a signal that you're still orbiting her world. And when her ego senses that, it stays strong. It doesn't need to collapse because it has proof that you're still affected, still waiting, still hoping. Ask yourself, how many hours have you spent this week analyzing her behavior? How many times have you checked if she's viewed your content? If you're honest, it's probably more time than you've spent actually improving your own life. Here's why this is so damaging. Most men in your position think they're being strategic by maintaining casual contact. A like here, a story view there. They think this keeps them on her radar without looking desperate. But what actually happens is the opposite. You're giving her the validation her ego craves, proof that she still has power over your attention, without requiring her to do anything to earn it. And as long as that dynamic exists, her ego has zero reason to collapse. Why would it? You're already proving she matters to you more than you matter to yourself. So here's what I'm going to show you in the next sections. First, the 3 psychological phases her ego goes through during your silence, and how to identify which phase she's actually in right now. Second, 5 specific behavioral signs that reveal she's thinking about you, even when she's pretending she's not. Third, the realistic timeline of when this ego collapse typically happens, and the variables that speed it up or delay it. Fourth, what's happening inside her mind that she'll never verbally admit to you or anyone else. And fifth, how to maintain your frame during this entire process without breaking first. Because by the end of this video, you'll stop wondering if she's thinking about you and start understanding exactly what's happening behind her silence. You'll know how to read the signs without second-guessing yourself. And most importantly, you'll be able to make decisions from a position of clarity and self-respect, not desperation. Let's break it down. Let's start with the 3 phases of her ego collapse. Understanding these phases is critical because it tells you where she is psychologically And more importantly, whether your silence is actually working or if she's genuinely moved on. Phase 1. The dismissal stage, days 1 to 7. In the first week after you've gone silent, her ego is at its strongest. She's telling herself you don't matter. She might even feel relieved that you've stopped reaching out because it confirms her decision was right. During this phase, she's actively dismissing any thoughts about you. If you pop into her mind, she pushes it away. I'm better off without him. He wasn't right for me anyway. Her ego is working overtime to protect her from feeling vulnerable or second-guessing her choice. Here's what's happening psychologically. Her ego needs to justify the rejection. It can't admit that maybe she made a mistake, so it amplifies all your flaws and minimizes anything good about the connection. Your silence during this phase doesn't penetrate yet because she's too busy convincing herself she made the right call. This is why immediate no contact rarely produces quick results. Her ego needs time to exhaust itself. Phase 2. The curiosity stage, days 7 to 21. Something shifts around the 1 to 3 week mark. The silence starts creating small cracks in her ego armor. She notices you haven't reached out. She expected you to chase, to beg, to try to win her back, like most guys do. But you didn't. And that unexpected reality creates curiosity. She starts wondering, why isn't he texting me? Has he moved on already? Was I that easy to forget? This phase is characterized by checking behavior. She might view your social media stories, check your last seen status, or ask mutual friends about you in casual ways. Her ego is still protecting her from reaching out directly. She can't risk looking like she changed her mind. But internally, you've gone from dismissed to interesting question. Phase 3. The collapse stage, days 21 plus. If your silence continues beyond 3 weeks, and especially if you seem genuinely unbothered, the ego protection mechanism becomes exhausting to maintain. She can't keep telling herself you don't matter when her own behavior proves otherwise. She's checking your profiles, thinking about memories, comparing new attention to what you provided. At this stage, the internal admission happens. I miss him. Her ego still won't let her verbally admit it to anyone, including you. That would be too vulnerable. But the collapse has occurred internally. Now it's just a question of whether her ego will surrender enough to let her act on those feelings, or whether pride keeps her paralyzed in silence. Now that you understand the phases, here are the exact signs that reveal which stage she's in, and more importantly, whether she's genuinely thinking about you during all of this. Sign number 1, the pattern change in social media behavior. She views your stories within minutes of you posting them, but doesn't react. No likes, no replies, nothing. Or she suddenly starts posting content she knows you'll see, visiting places you went together, listening to music you introduced her to, or posting cryptic quotes about missing someone or regret. This isn't random. It's psychological signaling. She wants to know if you're watching without directly engaging. And she wants you to know she's feeling something, but her ego won't let her say it directly. Sign number 2, the mutual friends probe. She starts bringing you up in conversations with mutual friends in seemingly casual ways. How's your name doing? Or, have you talked to him lately? She's fishing for information. Has he moved on? Is he dating someone? Does he mention me? This is phase 2 behavior. Curiosity overtaking dismissal. Her ego lets her gather intel because it's just asking, but it won't let her reach out directly because that feels too vulnerable. Sign number 3, the proximity creation. Suddenly, she's at places she knows you frequent. She shows up at events she previously skipped. She posts from locations near you. This is her ego's compromise. She can't reach out directly, but she can create accidental opportunities for you to initiate. It maintains her protection. I'm just living my life. We happen to run into each other, while satisfying her desire for contact. Sign number 4, the engagement shift. If you do post or communicate in any shared space, her response pattern changes. She's warmer than she was during the rejection period. She responds faster. She asks questions instead of giving one-word answers. The coldness has thawed. This signals phase 2 moving toward phase 3. Her ego is softening but still won't initiate reconciliation. She needs you to take the first step so she can maintain the illusion that she never changed her mind. Sign number 5. The emotional content broadcasting. She posts things that are clearly directed at someone, potentially you. Song lyrics about missing someone, quotes about regret, posts about being single, or relationship standards that sound like they're describing what you had. She's broadcasting feelings she can't directly admit. Her ego prevents direct vulnerability, but it allows this plausible deniability method. I was just sharing a quote I liked. It's not about anyone specific. Here's the critical thing about these signs. They don't guarantee she'll reach out. They indicate ego collapse is occurring, but the final stage, actually acting on those feelings, depends on variables we need to discuss next. Because understanding the timeline isn't just about knowing when it happens, it's about knowing what factors speed it up or keep her paralyzed indefinitely. Let's talk about the timeline, because this is where most men either maintain their frame or break under pressure. Week 1. The confidence phase. She's certain you'll reach out eventually. Her ego is fully intact. Your silence feels like a temporary test she's passing. What's happening internally? She's getting validation from other sources, new attention, friends reinforcing her decision. Your absence hasn't created a void yet because she's actively filling the space. This is why day 3 or day 5 check-ins always fail. You're just confirming she still has power over your attention. Week 2 to 3. The question phase. Confidence starts cracking. Why hasn't he reached out? Becomes a nagging thought. Her ego defends. He's probably busy, scared, or playing games. But the defense requires more effort now. What's happening internally? Your absence is creating a curiosity gap her brain wants to close. She's comparing new attention to the quality of yours. She's starting to notice the difference. Week 3 to 4. The realization phase. She understands you're truly not chasing. Her ego struggles between pride and admission. The internal conflict intensifies. Do I actually miss him? No, I'm fine. But why do I keep thinking about him? What's happening internally? Cognitive dissonance peaks. Her ego says, I don't care, but her behavior says otherwise, checking your profiles, asking about you, posting content hoping you'll see it. Week 4, plus, the collapse or fortification. Two paths emerge. Either her ego collapses, she reaches out or shows clear signs of wanting reconnection, or it fortifies permanently. She genuinely moves on. Reality check. Not every silence leads to collapse. Critical variables that determine the path. Your initial investment level in her life. If you were just a few dates, collapse is unlikely. If you were deeply connected, invested, and then suddenly disappeared, the void is harder to ignore. Her current life circumstances. Is she in a stable, happy phase, or is she stressed, questioning her direction? Ego collapse is more likely when she's already feeling uncertain about other areas. Quality versus quantity of alternative attention. 10 guys texting her doesn't replace one guy who made her feel genuinely understood. But if she finds genuine connection elsewhere, your absence becomes irrelevant. Here's the truth. The timeline isn't destiny, it's probability. And while you're waiting for her ego to collapse, there's something happening in her mind that she'll never verbally admit to you, or anyone else. Let's unpack that next. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The psychology she'll never verbally admit, not to you, not to her friends, sometimes not even to herself. Admission number 1. Your silence affected her more than she'll ever say. Why she won't admit it? Because admitting impact means admitting you had power. Her ego is invested in maintaining the image that she was indifferent, that your absence was barely noticed. Reality. If she's in the collapse phase, Your absence has dominated her thoughts more than any new attention she's received. What she'll say instead: I barely noticed, I was busy anyway, or nothing at all. Admission number 2, she tested you, and you passed by not reacting. Why she won't admit it. Revealing that relationship dynamics are tests destroys the mystery and makes her feel manipulative. Her ego needs to believe she makes authentic decisions, not calculated moves. Reality. Your non-reaction was the correct answer to an unspoken test. The guys who chased failed. What she'll say instead: vague references to needing space or things just not working out. Admission number 3, the attention from other guys didn't compare. Why she won't admit it. Her ego is invested in proving she has abundant options and can easily replace you. Admitting others fell short means admitting you were different, and therefore harder to replace. Reality. Validation from others feels hollow compared to genuine connection. What she'll say instead? Cryptic posts about dating without ever going into specifics about anyone measuring up. Admission number 4, she regrets how she handled it. Why she won't admit it. Admitting regret means admitting poor judgment. Her ego can't afford to look like she made a mistake. Reality. Internally, there's recognition she might have misjudged the situation or acted impulsively. What she'll say instead? Passive framing like, things didn't work out, that removes her agency from the narrative. Admission number 5, she wants you to make the first move, but on her terms. Why she won't admit it. Reaching out after rejecting you means surrendering power. Her ego can't afford to look desperate after being the one who walked away. Reality? She's hoping you'll provide a face-saving way to reconnect that doesn't make her feel like she's crawling back. What she'll say instead? Nothing. Or she drops breadcrumbs hoping you'll interpret them as invitations. These admissions remain internal because verbalizing them would transfer power to you. But here's what matters more than knowing these truths: knowing how to maintain your frame while all of this is happening. Because breaking your silence at the wrong time or for the wrong reasons destroys everything. So now you know what's happening in her mind. Here's how you maintain your frame during this entire process without breaking first. Principle number 1, don't react to breadcrumbs. Social media likes, vague posts that might be about you, accidental run-ins. These are all ego-safe moves on her part. Your move: maintain consistent behavior. Don't escalate contact. Don't interpret breadcrumbs as invitations to chase. Psychology: reacting proves you were waiting for her signal, which validates her ego and removes any pressure for her to make a real move. Frame maintenance: your attention isn't freely available just because she dropped a hint. Principle number 2, if she reaches out, respond on your timeline. Don't reply within minutes even if you see the message instantly. Your move: wait several hours minimum. Respond friendly but brief. Keep it conversational, not loaded with significance. Psychology: immediate responses signal you were hoping she'd contact you. Measured responses maintain the dynamic where your attention has value. Frame maintenance: you're busy with your life, not waiting by the phone. Principle number 3, don't seek closure or validation. Resist the urge to ask, did you miss me? Or, why are you reaching out now? Your move: treat interactions as casual. Don't make it about the past rejection or the time apart. Psychology: seeking validation transfers power back to her. It shows you need her to confirm your impact. Frame maintenance: you're indifferent to the answer because you've moved forward either way. Principle number 4, let her do the emotional work. If she wants to reconnect, let her suggest it. Your move: be pleasant, but don't plan dates or suggest meetups yet. Psychology: she rejected you initially. She needs to demonstrate changed investment through her actions, not just words. Frame maintenance: your time is valuable. She needs to earn access back to it. Principle number 5, Be prepared to walk away. This isn't about winning her back. Your move. If her behavior remains lukewarm or if she's just seeking validation without genuine interest, maintain distance. Psychology. Genuine ego collapse shows behavioral change, effort, vulnerability, consistency. If you're not seeing that, her ego hasn't fully collapsed or she's just testing if she still has power. Frame maintenance. You're willing to lose her to maintain your self-respect. Now here's the uncomfortable truth most men need to hear. Here's something uncomfortable that you need to hear, and it might sting a little. Most men waiting for ego collapse break silence first. Not because they're weak, but because they were never truly outcome independent. They maintained silence hoping for a specific result, her coming back, which means they were still operating from scarcity, not abundance. The moment you're checking for signs of her collapse, refreshing her profile, analyzing her stories, your frame has already collapsed. You're just performing silence while internally remaining attached to an outcome. Here's the paradox. True power comes from genuine indifference to whether she comes back or not. Not performative indifference, not strategic indifference. Real indifference that says, if she comes back, great. If she doesn't, I'm genuinely okay either way. Because when you're still emotionally invested in whether her ego collapses, you're giving her the same power she had before. You've just changed tactics. Now, this isn't about not caring about her at all. It's about caring about yourself more. It's about being willing to lose her to maintain your self-respect and boundaries. The men who successfully navigate this don't view silence as a tactic to get her back. They view it as a boundary. They're not silent to manipulate her into missing them. They're silent because their attention has genuine value, and she demonstrated she doesn't appreciate it. So ask yourself, are you maintaining silence because you respect yourself and your time? Or are you maintaining silence because you're waiting for her to chase? If she never reached out again, would you actually be okay? Are you checking for signs constantly? Or are you genuinely focused on improving your own life? Because here's the real truth. The win isn't her coming back. It's you becoming the man who doesn't need her to. That's the difference between outcome dependence and outcome independence. And that shift is what actually makes you unforgettable. Now I want to hear from you. Have you experienced this ego collapse pattern? Did she eventually reach out after you maintained silence? Or are you currently in the waiting phase seeing these signs? What phase do you think she's in right now based on what we covered? Drop your experience in the comments below. I read every comment. This community is built on men sharing honest experiences and supporting each other with psychology-based understanding. Not pickup tricks, not manipulation tactics, just real insight into human behavior and maintaining self-respect in difficult situations. Because this isn't just about one woman or one rejection. This is about men understanding the psychology of attraction and ego dynamics, so you never again torture yourself wondering what someone else is thinking. It's about reclaiming your power through clarity and self-respect, not through games or manipulation. Remember, your silence isn't a tactic, it's a boundary. You're not playing games, you're respecting yourself. And a man who respects himself doesn't chase people who walked away from him. That's the difference between hoping she comes back and knowing you'll be fine either way. Stay strong, stay focused on your own growth, and let her ego work itself out while you build the life that makes you genuinely indifferent to whether she's part of it or not.